So hello everyone and welcome to this week's Alertus Power Lunch, Summer 2026 features and seamless server upgrades. My name is Sarah and I'm a training specialist here at Alertus, and this session will highlight some of the new features that you'll see once you've upgraded to the Summer 2026 release. And then Daniel Mark from the support team has joined as well to walk us through the server upgrade process so that you'll know exactly what to expect when you're updating your server so that you can take advantage of these new features and improvements. And note, if you are currently running a server version before version 5.21.16 or the winter 2024 version, a multi-step upgrade is required due to updates with MySQL. And for any multi-step upgrades, we do strongly encourage you to reach out to the Alertus support team so that you can work with them to perform the upgrade. And we do highly recommend that you keep your server updated just so that you can take advantage of the newest features and the best performance and security. With this release, we are moving from Tomcat 9 to Tomcat 11. Which will make the system more efficient and secure, allowing it to handle more tasks at once using less memory. And we have also implemented some updates to the content security policy to ensure that the Alertus system is equipped with the most recent security patches and protocols. But as always, this is an interactive session, so please feel free to ask any questions using the Q&A feature. And please also be aware that the session is being recorded for training purposes, and you will receive a copy of the recording after the session. But without further introduction, we can go ahead and get started. And I'm actually going to start by sharing my screen just to highlight a couple of the new features that you will notice once you have updated your server. And for the full list of all the updates, I'll be sharing the release notes towards the end of this session, and then we did also have a webinar yesterday walking through them in more detail that I believe will be on demand if you want to rewatch it on the Alertus website. But one of the new features that we've added that you can add to your homepage is this preset categories widget. So previously we had a preset activation widget. We still have this one available where you can select preset alerts to send from the homepage. But the new preset categories widget will allow you to group those presets into categories just to make it easier to find a specific one really quickly. So for example, if there was a fire, I could pick my fire category and then very quickly find the alert that I wanted to launch. So if you do want to add this preset categories widget to your homepage, system administrators can click the Manage Homepage dropdown, go to Activation, and then you should see Preset Categories as a new option to add to the homepage. And additionally, we have made some updates to the reports, specifically the group membership and location membership reports. All the updates here are purely cosmetic, so all of the functions and the reporting information is remaining the same, but we've just changed the layout of these reporting pages. So instead of just seeing a long list of all your groups or your locations, now we've added a drop down so you can select a specific group from the list to see which devices and which contacts are in that group. And then instead of having to go to separate pages to see group memberships by device or devices not in any groups, now all of the reporting information is on one page, so you can just keep scrolling down to see that additional information. And you might also notice some cosmetic changes to the activation pages, like the custom activation page, for example. We redesigned the Starting Now button that you can use to schedule alerts to go out later. And then we have also adjusted the interface for selecting alert services just to add some checkboxes so it's easier to see what you've selected. And similarly with the recipient section, we've also added some checkboxes here just to make it more clear exactly what you've selected in these sections. And then the last update I did want to highlight quickly is that we have added support in the Alertus console for the new quick access button for Windows Alertus Desktop version 7. Note that to have this button show up on your desktop, it does require a new version of Alertus desktop software, just a new build that will be available shortly for download in the customer portal. But this quick access button will give you quick access to select and send preset alerts directly from the home page or the page or from your desktop here, instead of having to click from the quick access menu down here. So for example, I could click the button, I could select maybe a fire alert, and then I could activate it directly from my desktop. So that is an exciting new feature. I'll send out that activation, so we should see it momentarily popping up on my screen. Once my desktop checks in, there it is.
Order is now in effect due to
that I'm just going to acknowledge to close. So all the settings for that quick access button are in the desktop page of the console. So once you've updated to the most recent version, if you go to desktop and then you edit your desktop policies, you'll see a new quick access section that'll let you configure that button. You can decide to turn it on from here. You can even decide to keep it on top of all other pages. Otherwise, you can have it at the bottom behind everything else. And then you can also customize some buttons. You can use different default images for that button that we've provided, or you can also upload your own or use a web image so you can customize the style of the button. So that is a new feature that we are very excited about. But without further ado, I am going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to pass it over to Daniel. That is, he's going to walk through the server upgrade process for us.
Perfect. Awesome. Hey guys, my name is Daniel with Alertus Technology Support. I've been with support for about 3 years here, and I'm going to be walking through the Summer 2026 upgrade. So our first step, you're going to want to grab the release from help.alertus.com. So once you're on the website, you can grab the 6.0.43 release and go ahead and download it. In this case, I already have it available, but that's where you can grab it when needed. And once you have it available, just go ahead and extract the zip file. We recommend copying the actual extracted zip to another location as opposed to downloads. Like for example, I have an Alertus install folder with my old releases in it. We recommend doing that just so they're available, but strictly speaking, not necessary. And before you actually upgrade the Alertus server, we always recommend you guys have a server snapshot, like of the virtual machine itself, and during the upgrade itself, that the antivirus is disabled. Typically, Windows Defender isn't an issue, but we do recommend disabling them during the process. So with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and start the install. So I have the 6.0.43 release available here. I'm going to go ahead and, as an administrator, run setup.exe. And actually, before we jump into upgrading, one piece I would like to show you guys, creating a full server backup just in case it's needed. So to actually do that, what you'll want to do is go to the start menu and we'll get your list and you'll see the Alertus Technologies LLC folder. And as an admin, we can launch the backup or restore server configuration tool. There we go. And once you see it, it'll load up like this. On the backup tab, you're going to need to give it a name. So I'll just do today's date, 8.14, 5.25 backup. And go ahead and select the backup option so it creates a full backup. Don't use the database option typically, no need to. So my database is very small. You'll notice this will probably take, I don't know, 10, 20 seconds. For your systems in production, it could take a few minutes, just depending how large that is. But yep, once it's finished, we'll see backup successful. In my case, small, 14 megabytes, and you'll see the full path to that backup. Perfect. And once you're done with that, feel free to exit out of the tool. All right. So with that said, we can go ahead and start the install. So one more time, we'll access the unzipped 6.0.43 release. And as an admin, let's run our setup. Awesome. You'll be presented with the Windows standard installer. You're going to want to go ahead and press next. Verify your install location. Typically, this will already be selected. And the checklist, step 1, disable your antivirus. We did that. Step 2, perform a server backup. We recommend doing the snapshot and the manual backup as well. And just make sure you're not running the installer from the network drive that is available locally. Otherwise, it will not work correctly. And with that noted, we do recommend an hour of downtime during upgrades. Not that it'll take that long, usually it doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and press next here. We have our data collection and policy agreement. You can review that here and press install. Installer will take about a minute, but yeah, it's going to start running through it. Yeah. Yeah, you'll see a series of command prompt windows pop up here, and it will potentially take 5-10 minutes for the upgrade. Maybe longer if your database is bigger, but mine is only 14 megabytes, so it shouldn't take too long here. But if there are any questions while this is upgrading, I'm happy to answer. Like Sarah mentioned, if you're on server version 5.20.4 or below, you will need to schedule with Alertus support to go through the upgrade. But if you are on 5.21 or newer, you should be able to just run the latest release. But as always, Alertus support, we're happy to work with you guys to go through the upgrade if you schedule with us. So it's always an option. And as a note, the installer does create another backup of the Alertus server, but always good to do it manually as well, so it has it fully available. In terms of other side notes, requirements for the server, I know we do support Windows Server 2016 or newer. I'm sure 2016 support will eventually end, but that's where it currently stands. And it's not visible here, but there's some more command prompt windows just popping up as the installer moves forward here.
Awesome. And while we're waiting for that to run, I did see a question already in the Q&A box. We've only ever upgraded our Alertus server and not the desktop. Is the desktop able to be upgraded internally, or will I need to schedule an appointment? And yes, for the Alertus desktop software, that's also something that you can update. We do have in the customer portal, if you log in there, there is a software downloads tile on the homepage, and you can click that software downloads tile, and that's where you'll see the updated server software as well as the configuration files for the desktop. So you can go there to get the updated version and then push it out to your desktop clients. But upgrading the desktop is also something that the support team can help you with, especially if you do run into any issues with it. So feel free to reach out to support with any specific questions about that as well. And we do actually in the customer portal at help.alertus.com, we have a configuration guide for the Windows migration. So if you're upgrading from version 5 to version 7 for Windows clients, then you can follow the steps in the configuration guide I'm putting in the chat there to get a lot of good, helpful information about that. And then I am also going to go ahead and put in the chat the full release notes for the summer 2026 release. So while we're waiting, if you wanted to follow that link to browse the full list of all the updates and changes with the new release, feel free to do that. But I'll keep an eye on that Q&A box if you all do think of any other questions while the update is running through. Or Daniel, if you think of any other best practices or tips or tricks that you want to share, we should have a little bit of time.
It shouldn't take too much longer here, but like mentioned, setting aside an hour of downtime for the upgrade, always recommended. How long will it actually take? I mean, normally 10 to 20 minutes realistically, but if there are issues, you'll want time to allow for rolling back to the previous snapshot or storing the backup, whatever is most convenient. And I'm not sure if anyone here is on an older release, like 5.20.4 or older, but you should schedule with support to run to the latest update to avoid any issues. And we do recommend, like I mentioned earlier, saving the extracted zip file or the zip file itself in any case, just so those releases are available in case we need them for troubleshooting down the line or for just posterity purposes.
And I will also mention if anyone is wondering how to reach out to the Alertus support team, if you did log into our customer portal at help.alertus.com, there is a tile on the homepage that says submit a ticket that you can click on, fill out some information, and then submit that to support. And then you can always just email support@alertus.com, and that'll also open up a ticket as well. So you can send any questions or requests to support@alertus.com as well. I think it is pretty cool to watch it running through all the commands there. Fun to
Yep.
keep an eye on
And
it.
in the event you do run into an issue, you'll notice in the shell window that's up, it'll normally tell you that an error has occurred and reach out to support just to provide a reference. Not to say we hope things will go wrong. They shouldn't, but we do try to provide good reporting and prevent there's an issue. And
I like the little note there that everything is okay.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And you may notice, yeah, this step will potentially take a minute extracting this archive, so don't be alarmed if you see the installer. Just pause for a moment while it's running through the steps. Yeah. Awesome. So once you see the installer finish, there's a README file. I'll go ahead and open it, but generally you don't need to review this if you already have the server set up. Actually, I don't even see it popping up here. But after you have it installed, meaning the summer 26 release, you can check version info. So under our Alertus Technologies folder, we'll press version info, and yeah, we can see 6.0.43 was installed.
And Daniel, I don't think
And
we can see the version info you have
oh,
on.
my apologies. Must have been on the wrong screen. Here we
That's
go.
okay.
Yep, so from the start menu, if you look at all of your your list, you'll see the Alertus Technologies LLC, and then we can select version info. And let me pop that over here. We can verify, yep, we are running the new 6.0.43 release. And I'm gonna go ahead and open this up on my web browser as well. And yep, this is expected. It may take a few minutes for the console to become accessible again after the update or after updating. Um, Normally it only takes a few minutes here, but you'll see it in this state redirecting while it's still starting up. Another note, a lot of you may already know this, but when you're actually on the Alertus server itself, if you want to access the console from a web browser, you can just enter localhost and it will redirect to the web console. It might take a few minutes here, Sarah, on my end. I'm not sure if it's easier to share your screen potentially, but in terms of the upgrade, that those were the steps that we would take here. And afterwards, we do recommend logging into the console and sending out a test alert. Um, it may take a little bit more for my console, but we do
Yeah.
recommend standard practice.
Yeah, and I can share my screen
Yeah.
quickly too, just to show you, just for time. Once the console is loading, which again should just take a few minutes after the upgrade is complete, I do recommend coming in here and opening up the reports section, and you can check this device status report. This is just a good place to go to make sure that everything is coming back online and checking in with the server. We're doing some construction in the Alertus office right now, so the majority of my devices are unplugged, so I'm expecting this, but I can see my desktop did come back online, so that looks good. And then, like Daniel mentioned, we do also recommend just sending a quick test alert. That's something that you can do from the custom activation page. I'm just going to compose a message saying this is a test. I'm going to put it on a lower priority since it is just a test. And then maybe for this example, since right now just my desktop is online, I'll just send it to a desktop. I even have a system test desktop service that'll just send a green ticker across the screen with my test message. But of course, you could include alert beacons or any other types of devices you'd want to include in the test. And you can pick the specific units or devices. Right now, I'm just going to send the test alert just to my own computer so we can see it popping up there. And then once you've got that set, you would just hit continue. On this confirmation page, I can confirm I'm sending it just to myself. It says my desktop is online, so I can click send. And then we'll be able to see there is an active alert in the system, and there's that green ticker going across my screen. So I can see the test alert was successful, so that looks good. So that was a successful upgrade. And I'm just going to go ahead and close that early. Maybe I'll just cancel the alert as well. And then I am going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I do see it looks like there is one more question in the chat. Feel free to keep putting in any final questions. The question is, does the desktop update take around the same amount of time as the server? We have a lot of USB panic buttons and we'll need to schedule an appointment. So I don't know, Daniel, if you want to speak to the process for
Yeah.
updating desktops, kind of what time frame to allow for that.
It will depend. So if you're using desktop 7, we do have our auto update feature where you can provide it new client and it will update pretty seamlessly. But if you're on desktop 5, you'll need to have your IT team push out the latest desktop 5 client. And I mean, that could be a project on its own of asking IT to push it out. So I mean, it could potentially take longer than just upgrading the server, which, like we saw, took for me at least under 20 minutes. Updating all of your desktop clients, especially, it depends on your account, but if you need to touch them all manually, it'll take some time. Or with desktop 7, you can auto update. Just depends on your scenario and needs.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just because it's a larger number of desktops, it can take longer to get
Yeah.
the update pushed out, but like running through the installer itself shouldn't take too long for each desktop to get the update.
Oh, yeah, the installer itself, that's simple, like a minute. That's nothing. Just
Yeah.
touching all the systems. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Let's see, I'm not seeing any more questions. We'll hang on for another moment just in case. And then I am also going to put one more link in the chat. This is the link to sign up for next week's Power Lunch session, which is going to be called Mobilize Your Response with the Alertus Activator app. So we're just going to run through how to use the Activator app, which is a mobile app that you can download to send preset alerts from your phone. But awesome. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions. Feel free to keep reaching out to either support or training if you do think of any further questions. But yeah, I appreciate your time for everyone that joined us today, and I hope that you all have a great Friday and a great weekend. Take care.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care.